So it's Pete Puccio, CEO of, founder of International Electronic Business here. We're going to talk about return transactions. I'm showing you our client's knowledge base and Confluence page just to show that this is where I've been presenting at of data flow, the data flow canonical process that I previously recorded in simple XML or JSONs up here. Return transaction is right below that on our Confluence page. And so I'm basically going to say this, but let me go through this diagram, has it all. Return transactions. Return transactions enable us to test the return EDI transactions for, say, order to cash, this example, without waiting for the ERP system, without them having to pick, pack, and ship so we can get an order response, an ASN, and an invoice. I never wanted to wait. I always built this capability for myself wherever I was working. So how we do it, if you've gone through our process, then you understand the green half is the EDI half and the canonical is the yellow half. This process of return transaction has nothing to do with the canonical. Canonical is not involved. When we do this, they are all created and they are all processed and they are all visible as if they did, but we are simulating the return transactions without the ERP actually sending them. So down here in this corner, there is no, nothing came out of an ERP and we didn't receive any application export and we didn't convert that to simple XML. That hasn't happened. That's what I want to avoid, waiting for the ERP and this portion of the flow to happen. So what we do, when you right click on an order on our tracking page, when you right click and select return transactions, we take a copy of that order, simple XML version of that order, and we copy it down here to the outbound simple XML process, and we change and embellish that simple XML for an order and turn it into an order response, an ASN, and an invoice. And then the EDI, we put it in our database as a 5 status, so the EDI engine sees that 5, picks up the simple XML, converts it to EDI, and sends it to the partner. The EDI engine doesn't know that this didn't go through an ERP and it didn't come exported out, and there wasn't a canonical conversion to convert that simple XML. It doesn't know, doesn't care. There's simple XML there. It has all the tags needed to create this EDI. It goes. So now we can receive an order from a partner on a 30-minute phone call, and we can immediately send them back the order response, ASN, and invoice. It matches everything except the totals are wrong. And we had to guess what the total would be. We give it an invoice number, and et cetera. I'll show you that. So that's what we're doing. We are circumventing the application and ERP system of the client using our canonical structure to send back simulated EDI data immediately. So we can look at the EDI data and they can say, no, change this segment. We don't use that qualifier. We want to use this qualifier. And we can fine tune that till it's perfect. And then when the ERP is ready and the data does come out, it will come out with valid content. And when that happens and both sides are ready, you can just right click and promote to production. So let me come out of this presentation mode and show you. This is what I've told you over here, basically. But here's an example. Let me make this bigger if I can. An example of simple XML for an 850, a purchase order, and then the simulated response for an 855 order response, ship notice, and invoice. Let me show you this warning that I put on our Confluence page. This is an example of how we embellish orders to make return transactions. This has nothing to do with production. It doesn't resemble it in any way. This is not what we expect back. Don't look at this and go, we have to create. No, this is not. And this is just to enable testing return transactions without the ERP, waiting around for them to do their part. So what it shows here is the highlighted is the transaction and the bold amber color is the partner and the EDI IDs. So the transactions, we change them. The EDI IDs, we swap them because the directions go in the other way. In the order, shops is ordering from food supply. In the order response, food supply is saying, yeah, we can ship that, or here's our ASN, or here's our invoice. The embellishment data is down here. You can see on the order response, we need a vendor PO number, and we need a header and detail acknowledgement code. On an ASN, we need an ASN number, a ship date, a carrier, a bill of lading number, and the same vendor PO number. And on an invoice, we need tax information and line item totals and subtotals and tax and total amount due for the invoice. So we simulate these by making a copy of the simple XML and embellishing it. Then when this invoice goes out from our pattern key, all the data is there. All the XML tags are there for the pattern key to work, even though it didn't go through their system. So when the client gets the invoice, the subtotal is always $1,080, always. That's the total we put in there. It's not correct, it's not valid, but when the actual ERP data comes out and the same tags are there, the data will be exactly as it is. So it's the content's wrong, but the structure can be fine-tuned and perfected. So that's how we do return transactions. It's a really nice thing to have. I always built it, wrote scripts so that I could take what came out of the actual ERP and read in file values from an order and simulate the order response so I could test immediately without waiting for the ERP. It's a very, very nice feature and speeds things up, which is what IEB is all about. All right, thank you very much.